guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a horror film from Australia, English language, released in the year 2015, directed by Nick Robertson, and this movie is called The Pack. So The Pack opens up on a farm. You've got a farmer, his wife and two children. They're living in very desperate times because their farm really isn't generating a lot of money and they're getting a lot of pressure from a finance company. So if they don't find a solution to their money problems, very soon they're going to be kicked off the farm. So this farmer's livestock has been turned up, dead. They've been ripped to pieces, cows and sheep, and he doesn't know who's responsible for this. So he believes that there are some wild dogs out there that might be just causing a little bit of havoc. But what he doesn't realise is that these dogs are in fact really vicious, and they now have their sights set on this farmhouse. So it turns into a fight for survival one night when these dogs lay siege on the farmhouse, and who comes out of this ordeal in one piece? Something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Pack. If you are a fan of animal attack films, I definitely would recommend The Pack. I think it was a very simple film. There are problems with the movie. There are elements that are very realistic, but there are also elements that contradict that realism by having a little bit of unrealistic quality in it as well. So it doesn't quite go well together sometimes, but overall I thought for a B movie, for a movie that you really haven't heard of, it's one that you will enjoy a lot more than you probably initially think you would. So the reason why I like this movie a lot is because it did take me back to the day I was actually attacked by a dog. Now, it wasn't life-threatening for me, but it was still very scary, not knowing whether or not this dog was going to attack. And I just think it was that primal fear of, man versus animal. What's going through the animal's mind, and, when are they going to attack, and what are they thinking? It's just that sort of unpredictability that an animal brings was brought to the table in this film. I thought there's a lot of unpredictability, and there were some very good set pieces in suspense. And what also complements the horror aspect was the fact that the characters were gone into. There was enough time to allow yourself to sympathise with the situation that this farmer was going through. It shows you the harsh realities of farm life, especially here in Australia. You think a lot of farmers commit suicide because of how unforgiving farm life can be when things are not going very well. So you get that sense of desperation at the start of the movie, and that allows you time to connect to these people. You get the feeling that these are good people, but it doesn't try too hard to really make you like them. So it's not getting sidetracked by any side story that doesn't really have any relevance to the story. It is a movie that allows you to have a lot of fun, but along the way it allows you to connect to these people. So it doesn't take very long to get into the really good parts, but I thought the start was utilised very well. It knew exactly what it to do, and it didn't really waste any time for you to gain a connection. So because you sympathise with this family, because the family are very betrayed in a very realistic way, you like them. So when the bad things happen, you get even more fear for them. But the beauty of this movie is in the cinematography. Though it's a deeply psychological film, it's a movie about isolation. You're this farmhouse in the middle of nowhere, and these dogs, when they lay siege on this house, you get the fear because they can't exactly just call for help, because help is a long way away, and they can't exactly just run from the farmhouse because these dogs will hunt them down. So the dogs were very vicious, the attacks were very brutal, and they were done in a very realistic way. I love the way that the director choreographed the attack scenes. There's one scene in particular where it's a far shot. You see the victim in the middle, and these dogs just attack this guy, and you can actually see them running in very fast. And when they hit this guy, it hits you with a lot of impact. So it's a very ferocious look that the film has when they're actually attacking. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Now, there are problems to the film in the home invasion aspect. Now, this is basically a home invasion film with dogs. Basically, the dogs are encroaching into the territory of this farmhouse, and this is where the film goes down a little bit. I thought that was very unrealistic in the fact that the dog senses were dumbed down. Their sense of smell, their sense of hearing weren't quite as realistic as they should be, and you get the obvious impression that this is done for the progression of the film, which doesn't work, and it releases the tension a little bit. I thought there were some silly moments, the main characters, the dogs react in different ways to main characters as opposed to someone who's an extra, and you notice that, and you think, okay, I've seen this element done before. The main character, you've got to have fear for him, but because the dog is drawing out its attack against the main character, whereas it just dispatches an extra that you don't care about very quickly, you sense okay, I've seen this kind of thing before, and it does get a little bit repetitive once they get inside the house, and this is where it starts to get a little bit silly. I thought there were some elements that were very convenient for the plot, and that's unfortunately what prevents it from being a very good film. But I thought the way it finished was very eerie. The soundtrack was eerie, cinematography beautiful. It captures the harsh realities of farm life without going into it too much, but it is definitely a very suspenseful film. The suspenseful set pieces are done very well. The camera angles were fantastic, and the cinematography in the attack scenes were fantastic, and that is the reason why I came away from The Pack enjoying it a lot more than I initially thought it would, and it's definitely a movie I would recommend. So overall, for The Pack, I'm going to give it 3 stars. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.